This is something that I know a lot of artists, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creatives deal with because we're under pressure with the industry, people we see on TV, some of the best success stories in our industry. And it's the fear of feeling like you missed your moment. It's the fear of feeling like you're running out of time. And so I wanted to talk about this topic because what if it's not too late? You know, this is something that like I had these feelings today and I was just feeling like, dang, man, 37, you know, just going through the motions, just having moments, man. And so I just wanted to encourage somebody today that's like feeling the same way. You know, you've been pursuing your career, you've been pursuing your dream, you've been, you know, putting out fires every day, you've been trying to make things happen every day. And it just still, your moment hasn't come yet. And it's been years. But what if it's not too late? What if the stars are aligning just for everything to work out for you? What's up, y'all? I'm Jamai. This manifested Stardom. Y'all already know how we do. I tell you all my business. I tell you everything I'm experiencing and what I'm going through and what I'm studying and how I'm feeling and just walking y'all through this process of me being the biggest star in the world. And so this is the premise of this vlog. It's just the journey and the I don't want to use the word plight, but the struggles or the full perspective of the journey of an artist, of a dreamer, of a creator, of an entrepreneur. And so like the first point I have here is God doesn't move on your timeline. And I think the last video I posted, I talked about how God will give us the vision, but he won't give us everything that we have to endure or the time or the date of when that vision will come to pass. He just sends us on a path. He gives us the burning desire, the inspiration, the gifts and the talents, but he doesn't give us the complete vision. And so a lot of times we feel like we're late based off of our timeline. When I was in high school, I used to say all the time, well, I'm gonna be famous by the time I graduate high school, I'll be famous. So I ain't worried about college. I ain't worried about this. I ain't worried about that. So based off of my timeline, I'm late as heck. You feel me? But you feel late because you're comparing yourself to your timeline or other people's timeline, but your life is on a divine schedule. We all have a divine appointment, a divine schedule that's according to God's will. And so the scripture that supports that is Ecclesiastes 3:11. It said he has made everything beautiful in his time. Just because it didn't happen, when you wanted to, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It doesn't mean that it's still not set in stone, that it will happen. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that, you missed your moment. It just means that it's not time yet. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to really embrace and fully understand that. The next point is your delay is development. Scripture in the Bible, I think it's James 1:2, where it says, consider it a gift when tests and trials come your way, because that is God's way of molding and forming you to be the person that he needs you to be, to endure the blessings that you need, or to receive the blessing and the victory that you're dreaming for. And so I always liken it to working out. You lift weights to tear the tissue, to tear the muscle, for when the muscle to repair and grow back, it grows back bigger, it grows back stronger. And so, but you gotta lift that heavy weight to tear that muscle tissue so that it'll repair back stronger. That's the whole point. But nobody wants to lift the weights. Nobody wants to be built and ripped in order to be repaired and be stronger. And so that's really essentially, I feel like what God does with us is he's preparing us. Our only job is to keep going, though. Is to continue to have faith and keep going. Because if we lose our faith, then he can't do nothing. And if we stop, he can't do anything. But it's easier said than done. But that's the biggest thing. And the scripture for that is James 1 and 4, let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. I'm not behind, I'm being built. I'm not late, I'm on time. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the journey, I'm on time, and you are too. And so like we just have to continue to remember that this journey and what we're pursuing is part of our identity. It's not based off of outward validation or external affirmation, but it is because it's who we are. And if you're doing something because that's who you are, it really doesn't matter what the external response is. And it also means that eventually and inevitably you will get that grandiose, amazing response, and God will take care of you, because the same way, you know, up goes with down and peanut butter go with jelly. It's the same way that you as a creative, as a person that's gifted in an area will succeed in that area. It has to. It's a law. Like it has to work out that way if you keep going. You know what I'm saying? If you keep pushing. And so that's probably like one of the biggest things, man. Just like keep continuing to remember that, like, just because it's delayed based off of our timeline, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you. It doesn't mean that you aren't on the right path. It doesn't mean that everything is not falling into place. Maybe everything's not falling out of place. Maybe everything is falling into place. Because in order for certain things to be in place, certain other things got to move out of place. So maybe everything is falling into place. And yeah, it's been years. It's been decades even. You know, you've been pursuing it. You've been working towards it. But maybe that's what it takes. Maybe that's what it'll take. You got to think, God had the children of Israel in the wilderness for 40 years. You know, God had Moses in the wilderness for 40 years before God delivered him into his promise. And so we have to like really remember that, you know what I mean? And the last point is God uses late people for the biggest impact. Some of the greatest callings in the Bible didn't even start until later in life, like I just said, you know. So what you call late could be God's ready, because like I told you before, God doesn't live in time. God created time for us. God created time for us to have something measurable, but God lives outside of time. So that means that whatever you feel like you missed or whatever you feel like you lost, God can restore and do more abundantly in a second of what you missed out on in 10 years, or what you feel like you missed out on in 10 years. And that's just how massive and grand and omnipresent God is. And so we just have to truly believe that we're not late. Like, we're not late. We're not behind. We are on schedule. And as long as we pursue our dreams with all our passion and stay consistent and stay faithful and try to get better, it's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? And the scripture for that is Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. If the vision is still in you, if the vision is still in your heart, then you still have time. And you still have time. You know, it's still all possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still all possible. You just have to remember to stay faithful and keep pushing. And I know it's hard, and I'm telling this to myself more than anything. Like, I'm telling this to myself more than anything, because I had all these things of how I wanted my life to go, and it hasn't gone like how I wanted it to go. But just keep pushing, man. Just keep pushing. Keep being delusionally optimistic. Keep being, keep speaking the wild, big dreams that most people couldn't fathom. You know, being more whimsical, dreaming really big. Like, continue to do that, because one day, sooner than you think, it'll all flip, and you'll be living a dream. You'll be living the dream bigger than you ever thought you would. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how you That's how we have to continue to just keep it moving. That's how we will keep our spirits alive and keep our faith alive. It's just by continuing to speak life, have faith, and continuing to do the work, continuing to get better at the craft. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking to myself more than anything. That what if it's not too late? What if it's not too late? What if all you got to do is just keep pushing? So let's keep pushing, man. You already know. I'll see y'all tomorrow.